Hi, everyone. My name is Neeraj Mathur, and we are here to talk about HSAs and the benefits of shoeboxing. I'm joined by my two amazing teammates. I will let them introduce themselves. Mark?
Hey, I'm Mark Siebold, head of sales at Savings Oak and an industry veteran in the HSA space going back to 2012.
Hi, and I'm Mimi Mordesai, and I work on the marketing for Savings Oak, and my introduction to HSAs was through Savings Oak itself.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for joining, taking out the time. I know I'm very excited. This is the first time we've been doing these sessions on Twitter Live, Twitter Spaces Live, and talking about HSAs and the benefits of HSAs for both small, mid-sized employers as well as for employees to avail high deductible health plans, or as we like to call it, lower premium plans, and be able to leverage health savings accounts. Today, it's a topic that is amazing and not a lot is known about it, but I would love to open it up with a very crucial strategy from an HSA standpoint is that of shoeboxing. Mark, do you want to quickly take us through what shoeboxing is and why is it such an interesting thing for all HSA users to be aware of?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is a really important topic or subject for people, especially for employers who are trying to educate their employees about how to use the HSA as a long-term savings vehicle or a retirement vehicle. Just helping people understand that you don't have to spend your HSA dollars at the point of a medical expense. You can pay that expense out of pocket using a checking account, savings account, credit card, line of credit, for example. Leave the money in the HSA account and let that grow. Hopefully some of it or all of it is invested, and that for retirement. So the shoeboxing concept is at the point of an expense. So whether you go to a doctor or you pay for a prescription medication, you would pay for that expense out of pocket. And then you would take your receipt and save it, take a picture of it and save it in your HSA account website. And then someday, so that's the shoeboxing part of it, right? I'm shoeboxing that receipt. Someday down the road, you can take money out of your account, your HSA account, completely tax-free in the amount of that receipt or receipts that you have captured over time. So the HSA becomes not only that retirement vehicle, hopefully you can save the money in there for 10, 15, 20, 30 or more years, but it also becomes a bit of an emergency fund. So if you do have a large expense that happens, say 5 years down the road, or even a couple years down the road, and you kept those receipts, but did not take an HSA distribution, you can take that distribution in the future, again, completely tax-free, because you have the receipts that equate to the amount of that distribution.
That's awesome. That's an amazing thing there. A lot of people are may or may not be aware of. They can actually keep those receipts. And are these receipts? I mean, why are we keeping these receipts if we can just kind of pay ourselves back? These are our receipts. What is the need for actually holding on to the receipts?
Yeah, another good question. And when we talk about HSAs, a lot of times people get them confused with FSAs due to the acronym or the acronyms being similar. With an FSA or a flexible spending account, when you have a medical expense, you have to submit a receipt at the time of the expense to get reimbursed for it. And that's been happening for a lot of different years. With the HSA account, at the point of an expense, you don't need to submit a receipt. But you do need to keep the receipt for that expense for the point at which you take a distribution, because if you're ever audited by the IRS, you have to prove that that was an eligible tax-free distribution based on that receipt or receipts that you've kept for those qualified medical expenses.
That's awesome. Cool. Mimi, we've talked about this in the past, being able to keep the receipts and pay off. From an investment standpoint, can anyone who actually has an HSA invest their dollars?
Oh yeah, of course. Anyone who has an HSA can take their money. They have a balance in their account, and they can go and invest their money and take it and watch it grow, which is a great advantage of the HSA.
That's awesome. So, Mark, I'm kind of thinking there are receipts. I spent the money. I've got the receipt. I've got a digital record of it in some shape or format from a audit perspective for later on, from an IRS perspective, if it ever shows up. And I invest this money. So are you saying if I spend $25 or $50 towards my deductible or what have you, and I got that receipt and saved it and put that $50 and let it work through the power of compounding, I can actually watch that money grow over a period of time?
That's exactly right. Yeah, exactly right. And that's the message we want to get out to people that is misunderstood a bit, because again, people equate the HSA to an FSA and think it's a use it or lose it, so they spend their money right away. But the HSA really is, in our belief, the best retirement vehicle in existence. So if you can get as much money into it as possible, invest it, let that grow, capture the receipts again, as you pointed out, let it grow in investments. When you take the money out, let's say in retirement, if you can wait that long to take a distribution, that money comes out completely tax-free if used for medical expenses. And if you don't use the money for medical expenses, so once you reach the age of 65 and you're on Medicare, which is the typical age people go on Medicare, you can still take a distribution without penalty from the HSA if it's not for medical expenses, and then not pay a penalty, but you still pay tax, state and federal tax, the same as you do with a 401k. So I like to say it's the best, HSA is the best vehicle for retirement because you get all the benefits of the 401k with the extra benefits of the tax-free distribution for medical expenses.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. I'm so glad we actually are discussing some of this. So in terms of shoeboxing capabilities, Mark, besides just having to have access to a digital way so that you can park it and sort it, search it later on, because I could save, how long can I save these receipts for? Forever? Or since when can I actually save these receipts?
Yeah, you can save them indefinitely. Until you actually take that distribution. Now it gets a little bit different when you pass away. So as we look way out as part of estate planning, that's something else to consider that we want folks to talk to their financial planners about. But during your lifespan, as long as you keep those receipts for, again, it could be 2, 5, 10, 15, 30, 40 years, that money sits in that HSA, hopefully in investments gain and grows, and then can come out completely tax-free as long as it doesn't exceed the amount of the receipts that you've kept.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you're able to pay yourself with the interest after having spent the money. You just gotta keep the money into your HSA account, and more importantly, have that money be invested to be able to leverage the power of compounding.
Yeah, and the other thing that you hinted at there, we talk about the tax advantages, and I just want to make sure that folks understand all the tax advantages, because I did equate it to the 401k, and you have that state and federal similar tax advantage on money that goes into the HSA, similar to the 401k. However, you get an added benefit, and sometimes I like to call the HSA the quadruple tax advantaged account. A lot of people like to call it the triple tax advantaged account, which is appropriate. But I'll take it up another notch because you also get the FICA tax savings you don't get with the 401k contribution. So money goes in completely tax-free, no FICA or Medicare tax as well on those contributions. And then again, whether you keep the receipts and take a distribution in the future, or you take a distribution right away when you have an expense, as long as it's for a qualified medical expense, it's completely tax-free. Nothing else like it in existence. So we really, really want people to understand that and then get the most out of it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, I liked how I like to simplify things for people to take things away. Let's just call it the way we've talked about as a team, the ABCDs of shoeboxing, right? The alternative, A for alternative way to pay. Anytime you have a qualified medical expense, instead of first reaching for your HSA, look for an alternative way. If you can afford it, pay some or part of it through that. Then the B is bank your receipts, right? There is no deadline for reimbursing, as Mark pointed out, yourself from your HSA. Bank your receipts, keep them in a way that it's actually, if you're able to retrieve them easily. We promote digital savings because it allows over a period of time to not lose them, and more importantly, be able to search them. And then C for compound your funds. Watch your funds grow as they stay invested. Your HSA money grows tax-free, except for a couple of states. And then D is disbursement. which is once you retire and you need access to that money, you actually can take that money out in over a span of 10, 20, 30 years. That can be a large chunk of money that has not only been the original amount, but also the amount that grew. And you're able to take that money out and be able to use it just like you would. And you'd get all the benefits of leveraging an HSA. Cool. You touched a little bit upon the tax advantages of HSAs for people. I want to talk about one more thing for our session today. When we think of employees thinking about HSAs and looking at tax benefits, FICA taxes, what are those payroll taxes, or they're called by different name, FICA tax or payroll tax? And does just the employee save, or does the employer save money on that too?
Yeah, great question. So FICA tax, or as you mentioned, it's sometimes called payroll tax or sometimes called Medicare tax. It comes out of people's paychecks at the point that they're paid and goes to the government. With the HSA account, you don't pay that. You don't pay the FICA tax as the employee, which is 7.65% for an employee, nor does the employer pay FICA tax, which is another 7.65% for the employer. So in all, that's, over 15% that is being saved between the employer and the employee for every dollar that goes into the HSA account. So obviously a big benefit for employees, but a huge benefit for employers who may have 50, 100, 200, 500 employees who are making contributions. Every dollar they contribute to that HSA account is helping that employee. They're getting the tax benefit and they're saving for medical expenses. But it's a huge tax savings for that employer when you think about the compounding effect of all those contributions and the related FICA tax savings that come from that.
Wow, awesome. Great. Well, it's an amazing topic, and we are as part of the Savings Oak team, we want to bring some really good nuggets to everyone really quickly in short bites so you can kind of learn key things and make your HSA grow and make your HSA work for you. On that note, Mimi, back to you. What else is on the docket? And tell us more about the next episode of The Right Way to HSA.
So we are here every week on Wednesdays, and you can at noon Pacific Standard Time, and check us out on our website, savingsoak.com, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. And tomorrow we have a webinar coming up, HSA for SMBs, with Niraj and Mark and Aaron Papworth, for the founder and CEO of Navit. And that will be at 9 a.m. And you can sign up on our LinkedIn.
Awesome. Great. I'm excited about that conversation tomorrow with Mark and Aaron because health savings accounts for small and mid-sized businesses is an amazing topic to actually for employers and for all employees around the world in the US. On that note, thank you both for joining. And to our viewers, this will be available on YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and anytime you have a comment or something, drop us a note and at help@savingsoak.com, and we'll be happy to take your questions. Thank you so much, and until our next episode, which is tomorrow morning with Aaron and Mark. Thank you.